This episode of UNB Live was recorded on August 14th, 2026.
And welcome to our 42nd episode of UNB Live. My name is Bob Price, alongside Communications Officer Diana Moffat.
Hello, Bob. Well, unfortunately, today is a show that we do not want to be talking about. But in the most bone-dry summer and threatening wildfires, our band is facing a very serious water crisis. Councillor Brian Holmes will be with us just to give us an update on how serious this matter is.
But first, Diana, as we always do, we're going to kick things off with the People's News. We have the UNB Live Rundown next. Yes, Diana, we are going to be talking extensively to Councillor Brian Holmes in a moment about the water situation. But right off the bat, there has been no shortage of reminders being sent out.
Yes, we've been sending out often reminders of water restrictions to the point where we are asking people to be very vigilant on how they use their water, just in case, it comes down to the point where we might need it for other things such as a wildfire. So we need to save as much as possible right now.
Exactly. Looking forward to the wisdom of Brian Holmes here in a moment. Diana, we've received some inquiries about when the Upper Nicola Band administration will be moving into the new digs over at the Quilchana Community Centre.
It's going to be exciting. The last word I got was September 14th is our move-in day. And then a week later, we are going to have the grand opening on September 21st. And then a month after that, we're going to have our AGA.
Terrific. And that AGA is a little bit later than usual this year.
Yes, we wanted to hold it at our new gathering space just to kind of showcase our new building and whatnot. So yeah, it's going to be held a little bit later.
I'm hearing some important roles to fill on the UNB Education Advisory Committee.
Yeah, they have extended the deadline to August 31st, and they need 2 elders and 2 community members to be on the Education Advisory Committee. So if you're interested, just send an email over to Shona or Geneve, and we'll have their addresses here.
Speaking of education, I see as well that we're advertising for another high school teacher at Nicola School.
Yes, so if you have the credentials and you want to come work out at our wonderful school, you can send your resume and cover letter over to hr@uppernicola.com.
Yeah, and still with learning, the Silchin Language Camp is coming up.
Yep, this one happens every September, and it's going to be out at Glimpse Lake, and this year it is September 25th to 27th. We ask that you bring your own utensils, plates, cups, whatever you might need, anything to help save the environment. But yeah, just contact Maynard or Justine and get to be a part of that.
Buzz Manuel, as always, keeping us busy. And despite the heat, we have a youth hockey camp coming up.
Yes, we actually have a few coming up, surprisingly. There's an Indigenous youth hockey camp that's happening at the Nicola Valley Memorial Arena, and that's going to be from the 21st to the 23rd, and you just got to contact Buzz and you can sign up.
Okay, sports fitness training. I'm told that's on until later for a few weeks yet, right?
Yeah, it's on until the 20th. It started on the 4th, and it'll be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You might remember Jalen, who we had on the show. He's going to be one of the trainers, along with Vanessa and Nathan. Yep. And you just got to contact Buzz to register and go on and get fit.
And go on and get fit, of course. And fitness is healthy. Coffee with the Cop. I know we just had a session, but when is the next one? The next sit down?
The next sit down will be on September 9th, as it is every second Wednesday of every month. And the constable or constables will bring coffee, donuts, muffins.
Before we move on, I want to circle back. Nicola School registration happening now, and it's important to get the kids signed up pretty quick here.
Yes, actually, the school year it's coming quite quick. It's already mid-August, so yeah, in 2 to 3 weeks here, we'll have kids back in school. So if you want your child to have, one-to-one learning with culture-based activities, on the land activities, free supplies, free food, and a free bus ride from Lower Nicola and Merritt, and then obviously back home at the end of the day. So if you're interested in that, just contact Dr. Travis Clack at the school.
As Diana mentioned earlier, we are indeed facing a serious water crisis in the Upper Nicola community. Councillor Brian Holmes is standing by. He's got all of the answers, including the full scope of the situation as it stands right now, and some ideas on how you can make a difference to help out by using a whole lot less water than we have in the past typically. The UNB Live interview next. Historically, low flow water levels in the Upper Nicola Watershed behind recent appeals to conserve wherever possible. Just how serious is the water situation right now? What can band members do to make a difference? UNB band councillor Brian Holmes is here. And Brian, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, good to be here.
So Brian, just how serious is the water levels right now in the Nicola watershed?
It's a pretty critical state. As you might have seen a couple of weeks ago, the chiefs had made a statement on and framing it around a water crisis, and that's just what it is. It is in a crisis state. We've been in drought before. We've had low flows before, but this is going beyond what we've experienced, at least in my lifetime, about what we're seeing. No water flowing, water quality becoming poor, fighting wildfire with no water. So it's becoming a widespread issue, not just in Douglas Lake, but throughout the whole watershed. And it's just, nothing like I've seen before. I've heard elders talk about similar times when the creek stopped flowing, but nothing in my lifetime here.
You've just answered my next question, because I was going to ask you whether this was a lot worse than typical. Clearly it is. It's been a heck of a drought, and it's catching up with us.
Yeah, like in some of the reports I've read, that the last known time that something similar was in the 70s and maybe the 50s, right, where creeks were drying up in July. And that's what we were experiencing here this year. Like in early July, water levels were a concern. By the time we hit mid-July, we're sitting at historical lows in lakes and in streams. And so it just makes it challenging knowing that we're going to go into this fall and spawning time and have a lot of issues, with the thought and understanding that maybe into this winter, it's going to be a warm winter without any snow, which just combats into next year.
That key is snow, and I just want to follow that up. Do we have any creek beds, etc., drying up actually?
Yes. So out on the lake yesterday, Douglas Lake, the Nicola River coming in, there was no water flowing into the lake there. We do have some water out of Chaperone Lake, but the head gate's been getting plugged up. And so we maybe only have 20 days left of water to come out of Chaperone to support flows. Nicola Lake, the Nicola River going into Nicola Lake on IR1. The chief was down there earlier this week, and there's no water flowing into the lake from there. And there's been a couple of others, I think, around Mammoth Lake and Tonquah Lake in the watershed. The cold water is way below critical threshold. It is heading in that direction to possibly have no surface flow going down, a pretty major river system in the system.
So how does this affect irrigation for farmers and agricultural?
Well, it puts everybody in a position, right? And such at an early time is the issue. Typically, we see drought scenarios start to happen around August, and then we're looking to shut off irrigation for spawning because kokanee will start spawning here in the next week or two as well. And so it's been a bit of a challenge now with irrigation, less precip in the spring, so the growth has been a bit of a challenge. The heat, the smoke has changed a little bit of things here in the Nicola. Have kept things a little bit cooler, so it's not evaporating as much. So that's kind of helped the water. Also, I believe we'd be in a way worse situation than we are now. It is bad, and it's pretty bad, but it could be worse, and it is getting worse. And so, everybody's pushing to irrigate and get their crops because they're not going to have enough feed for the winter if they can't, because it's already been stressed from the years before. And then if we go into next year, it's just going to be a similar issue. So a lot of challenges with irrigation throughout the watershed, right? It's interesting because in some areas to the point where they're not even going to have enough water to irrigate. So there is no push to shut them off because they can't even irrigate anyways. I think the two on the reserve here on the Nicola River at Douglas Lake, there's just not enough water, so they had to stop watering a couple days ago.
Yeah, and the problem is, of course, there's no easy fix here. Yes, conservation, do what you can. We use as little as possible, but really the bottom line is rain. I mean, we've had rain, a few sprinkles here and there, but basically, for the most part, it hasn't rained for most of 2 months.
Yeah, we got some rain the other day, and I think that's been the first rain I've seen in like 3 months, and it's just been interesting. I almost forgot how to drive in the rain when it rained pretty heavy that day. But it's really created a lot of issues, right? So a lot of ways to conserve water. You can kind of. I always think you can train your grass to grow in a drought situation where you don't have to water it every day, and you can water it, once every 3 weeks, and it'll still come back green. So, it's just evolving. Like grass is a being and a species just like us. So, things adapt and change, and that's kind of where we're at in this scenario, right? We've been going in this direction for a while now, so it's no surprise that we're here. There is solutions to it. I'm not saying that that's going to solve it all, but we need to be looking at storage, and through some of the Nicola Watershed Partnership work, we are looking at storage, and that would help alleviate and prolong the water availability into the fall. Right now, we've only got the Chaparn Dam above Nicola Lake, and it's just not enough. So we're looking at putting more, maybe Douglas Lake, maybe Pennask, but we need funding to get those moving and on a quicker time frame, because if we get into this scenario next year, we're expecting to lose salmon and kokanee this year. Mm-hmm. And that's quite critical, and that's pretty emotionally challenging. When we've done all this work to get water for these species to spawn for the next generations. Now I'm to the point of kind of had an idea, and now ONA is helping action an emergency plan to pump water up the creek and then collect a brood stock so we can save the eggs and save the genetics. And put them in a hatchery so we don't lose the genetics for this run, because if it continues to happen year after year, they will no longer be here. So that challenged us. The old muck might be a thing of the past, and that's what we're working to make it not be a thing of the past, and using technology and support from others to put in these emergency processes to save that kind of species. And we're just looking for support from federal and provincial governments to save that.
Yeah, it's too bad because, we all need our fish. So obviously the current wildfire situation is not helping this situation.
Yeah, well, it's a challenge. It takes focus on different directions for many things, right? And the way these wildfires have been progressing because of the drought and the water scarcity, just makes them more extreme and more unpredictable. And then to make that even worse, there's no water to fight the fire. Uh, these streams and creeks that usually we can pump or put a helicopter to bucket water and are no longer have enough water to even do that. So we're having to search other means to find water. Currently helping Coldwater Indian Band right now with their EOC and trying to find water for the structure protection units to protect their homes. But we're challenged for water, and so many options that aren't viable are really raise concern because of the lack of water. So we kind of need to adjust how we think about fighting fire because the water just isn't there, and we can't rely on it to be there when a fire comes forth. So it's really challenging, and so really being fire smart around the community, around your house becomes critical, and not just relying on green grass to be that barrier, right? We got to be cleaning out all this debris, grass, and brush. Any old cars that need to get out of there, those seem to be a big issue and seem to flame things literally a little bit faster when they catch on fire. So it's just creates issues, right? When we don't take care of things. Surprisingly, and this is an interesting thing. I've never heard of this before. That we've had fires in our graveyards from glass vases in the graveyard, and just the way the sun hits them. We actually had a fire spark and some black in the graveyard. Luckily, there's people around that were able to put it out. But that's how crazy this scenario is, right? And whether it's the lack of rain, the climate change, and just the different temperature, different air, it creates these volatile occurrences that just happen. And you think about walking them through some broken glass on the grass, and you don't think about that being a fire starter. But there's things like that are just that blow my mind that is where we're at.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Brian, I don't want to paint a doomsday picture, but my heavens, the elephant in the room is the what if, right? I mean, what if this situation doesn't turn here pretty darn quick? What if those water levels in the watershed keep dropping?
Yeah, so that's what we're planning for, right? And we're not expecting. Typically, we would see things turn around in October and more precipitation come, but we're kind of not anticipating that this year, and we likely kind of go into December uh, without any precip, any rain. It's going to be challenging. These lakes, Douglas Lake, Nicola Lake, are expected to dead pool. Dead pool means there's no water running out of the lake,
Right.
which is a challenge. And then when you dewater systems like this, the groundwater starts to take more water. And so you lose that surface water. And so when we do get precipitation and rain, we might not see any change because it'll need to fill the groundwater systems up before it comes to the surface. And the concern with this, and not to scare people, but at some point this is going to start impacting drinking water because our drinking water comes from wells, right? And so trying to link this water scarcity issue to human health is a bit of a challenge for government to really understand the connection to it. And we understand as in our culture the connection that water has to all the processes and things that we do. And groundwater and drinking water is that big connection. So I wouldn't say we're in a state to worry right now about that. But if this continues, then we have to start looking at measures. How do we start protecting our drinking water, because that's going to become an issue. Our food sources going to become an issue. The water quality is going to become an issue. We've already experienced pretty massive blue-green algae blooms. And so when we have no flow in water and the temperatures rise and everything's calm, we'll start seeing algae blooms pop up here. And it just makes water quality poor. Can't eat the fish from there anymore. You can't recreate in the water. You can't spiritually, ceremonial use the water. So there's lots of impacts if we're not taking care of the water.
So, can you give us a few tips on how we can help conserve the water, whether it be in our own community or in other communities?
Everything from flushing toilets down.
Yeah, and it's really there's so much information out there to do that, right? And it's just being conscious of what you're doing, how much you're watering, how much you're showering, how much you're washing the dishes, how many dirty dishes you're getting. So those are all in-house things we need to think about. And then also just out on the land and all our practices, right? When we are disturbing stuff and logging, um, and other things on the land, it's just really critical that we're protecting water and not changing it so much, because it changes everything when you change the landscape. Uh, I'm really cautious of even drinking bottled water. When we talk about water and the energy of water, it gets de-energized when it gets manufactured into these bottled water. So even recognizing that when the water isn't flowing, it's de-energizing as well, and this is why we see the water quality become bad. So yeah, it's just upgrading faucets, leaks, and changing things that are more efficient. And we can't just drink from the hose like we used to when we were kids anymore.
You know, um, this is serious. This is very, very serious. Like you said, your lifetime, you've never seen anything like it. And we can only hope that the rains come pretty darn fast and try to turn this around. But and coming winter, like you said, we need more snow. We need more snow on the ground to fill these reservoirs, these lakes, creeks, streams. Um, yeah, serious situation. Brian, thank you a whole lot for coming in today, joining us to make people aware of the crisis that we face. And thanks for the tips and, of course, everything you do. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah, and I just want a message, right? People need to understand this is for some reason, across the province, it doesn't seem to be a thing people are really, uh, I guess, making it a concern. And once you get out on the water and into these streams and see what's actually there, it's a pretty big issue. And it's going to start to have effects in the food chain, not to only the fish in the lake, but the deer, the birds, the eagles, right? So this starts impacting salmon, burbot, kokanee, trout, uh, and all the stuff, even the yellow perch in the lake, will start impacting them. So, I want people to think about this in a critical situation and even voice the concern about it publicly, because our politicians, our leaders need to understand the crisis we're in, and the fires are part of that crisis. And when we can't have water to fight a fire, uh, that tells us there's something wrong here. We're doing something wrong. And it's going to challenge us as humans, as people, to figure out how do we evolve with this new situation we're in, or what's going to happen to us, right? We're going to start losing species, and that's a real serious problem for the ecosystem. So I just wanted to reframe and remind people that it's a pretty serious situation. Uh, we are looking at ways to protect some of these species. Like I said, water storage is the solution that we have at the moment, along with prayers for rain and ceremony for rain and snow is the best we can do, and the Creator will determine if we're to be saved, I guess, in a way. But we'll see how that situation rolls out, and just to do our best to do our responsibility that we're here on Creator's lands.
And that's going to do it for this episode 42 of UNB Live, your community, your issue, and of course, this is your show. So tips, questions, guest ideas, more than welcome. Diana, who's next on the guest list?
Well, Bob, it's a critical time of year, so we're going to discuss our Emergency Operations Center. So we'll have the lead on that coming to discuss, the proper ways to mitigate wildfires and how you can help in the community if you want to.
It's been a heck of a year.
It's crazy.
Until next time, friends, you know the routine. Tell your friends, tell your family about UNB Live. We thank you for watching.
Bye.
Item